In this video, we're going to go over Program 7.1, which appears on page 94 of your textbook. This refers to Chapter 7, which is an introduction to SAS programming. So, as of now, we're going to start writing actual programs in SAS. Before this, we've just been doing some point-and-click type of tasks through the SAS Studio interface. But right now we're going to start learning how to program in SAS. So get ready for it. So the first program that is introduced in the book is the Program 7.1. Basically, it's a little program created to convert temperatures in degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit. So what the program does is that it reads a file with temperatures in degrees Celsius, and it creates an output, a table basically, which outputs the temperatures in Celsius and the corresponding temperatures in Fahrenheit degrees. So let's just follow line by line and see what they mean. Let's discuss this. So the first thing, when you get into SAS Studio, if you want to open or create a new program, you click here in New Options, New SAS Program. Now you see this program window has three tabs. It has the Code tab, where we will be writing the code, and then we have the log that we have to look at when we run the code to see whether we got, whether everything went fine or not. And then we have the Results tab, where we will get the output of our program. Okay? So, well, we can first write some sort of comment that is not part of the program, but some sort of statement saying, what this program is for. What is the purpose of this program? Whenever you want to make any comment in SAS, there are two ways, but first we're going to learn this one. If you want to make a comment that is not part of the program, it's just a comment for you and people who are reading the program or seeing your code, know what the program is all about, you have to start with a star. Okay, star. So you can say, well, this program is to read a file with temperatures in Celsius degrees and convert them into Fahrenheit degrees. I hope that I wrote that correctly. Fahrenheit degrees. So, once you have written the comment, you can just, you will finish it by placing a semicolon. Now, semicolons are going to be very important. Every single time that you write some statement in SAS, you have to end it with a semicolon, in most cases. So you'll be seeing this a lot. So basically, this is just a little comment to know what this is about. This is optional, obviously. You don't really have to comment all the programs that you write, but it's useful to have some sort of note to yourself and to other people. Right? So the program usually starts with a data step. What is the data step? So we preface it with the word data or data. As you can see here, SAS Studio has this capability that basically whenever you write something, let's say you're writing DAT and it's data, it will kind of like give you hints on how to complete the steps, right? So it's pretty useful, especially when you're writing more advanced programs. So for example, so now whenever you write data or you introduce the data step, this part is just to name your data, the data set that will be the output of this program. Okay, so in the book, the author call it convert. So why not, let's just follow him. Data convert. So convert. So that is going to be the name of my data set. Okay, convert. And then semicolon. Okay. Now my data set will have will feed a data that is already in my folders. I have to show you this. So in the SAS University folder, when you go into my folders, that's where you store data sets that you're going to be working with, right? So I already created the Celsius data set with this value 0, 10, 20, 30, up to 100, right? These are Celsius temperatures, and I want to convert these temperatures into Fahrenheit degrees. So this is kind of like my input to the program. Okay, so I'm inputting these values, and my program will output the temperatures in Fahrenheit degrees that correspond to these values in Celsius. So with that said, first you have to, well, create this data set and put it in your, it's a TXT, it's a notepad type of file, and you have to place it in my folders inside SAS University Edition folder. So going back to where I was. So now I'm going to ask the program to go and get that file, right? That's going to be my input in a way. So how do I write that? Well, how do I make the program do that? I write in file, okay, the in file statement. As you can see, it tells you what it is. Identifies an external file to read with an input statement. So we're identifying the file that we want to read, okay? And then there's columns, and then / and then folders, my folders, Celsius TXT. Okay, Celsius TXT. So this is saying, well, go look at the file that is inside folders, my folders, and the name is Celsius TXT. Okay, and then semicolon. Now, from that file, I want to use the numbers. Those numbers, I'm going to call them temperature C, temperature in Celsius. So I have to create a variable, and I do that by saying input. As you can see, when you write input, tells you what it is. Describe the arrangement of values in the input data record and assigns input values to the corresponding SAS variables. So basically the values that you read here in this file, in the Celsius file, you want to call them, as the book calls them, temp underscore C. Remember that there cannot be any space on the name of a SAS variable. You have to, whenever you have your space, you have to put substitute it by an underscore or something else, because a space is not a valid is not valid for SAS names. Okay, so, and then semicolon. Now we have created inside the dataset convert, which is the one that we're creating, a variable called temp C, which is inputted from the numbers in this file. Okay, now I also want to create another variable, which is temp F. I'm going to call it that way. temp F is going to be the conversion of the temperatures in Celsius to Fahrenheit. So according to the formula to convert temperatures from Celsius to Fahrenheit, you just multiply the temperature in Celsius by 1.8. Multiplication symbol in SAS is just the star, and then you add 32, and then again semicolon. Remember, at the end of every single line you have to put a semicolon. That's the syntax. So now this has created temp C by reading from this file, and now temp F by transforming temp C through this formula. Okay, so now my data convert has these two variables, temp C and temp F. Now I can write run semicolon, and I will run this piece of the program, although it's not the whole program yet, to see what it gives me. So let's run this. If you go to log, you see everything went fine, no errors. Okay, no errors, no warnings. So now what is the results? Well, what is the output data? Well, the output data is, as you can see, temp C. You have two variables, temp C and temp F, the two variables that we created. Temp C is just a readout of the numbers in the file Celsius txt, and temp F is the result of multiplying these values by 1.8 and adding 32, as the formula here indicates. Okay, so basically we have created a data set called convert. That data set convert will be stored in the work library because it's a temporary data set. If you want to store it somewhere else, you can do it, but for now we can just leave it there. Now let's say that you don't want to just create the data set convert. Let's say that you want to output it. You want to have a table with, temp C and temp F, kind of like a conversion table between temperatures in Celsius and temperatures in Fahrenheit. So you can actually output this data set. You can print it, as we say. And let's say, okay, you're going to put a title to this table that you're going to output. Say, we can say temperature conversion chart, and then semicolon. Do not forget the semicolon is very important. If you forget the semicolon, it'll give you error. It's a pretty common mistake. Now you want to print out this convert data set. To do that, we use proc print. So you'll see in SAS that most of the programs are like this. You have a data step where you input your data and you manipulate it, create the data set, and then you have a proc step, which is where you do some tasks on your data set, whether it's printing it or summarizing it or doing some sort of plots or summary statistics and that type of things. So so the proc print is a procedure that allows you to print observations. The print procedure prints the observations in a SAS data set using all or some of the variables. So in this case, I want to print both temp C and temp F. So how am I going to do this? Well, first I have to say, well, proc print, that's the procedure that I'm using. I'm printing a data set. And what data set am I printing? Data, well, equals convert. This is the data set that I'm using, right? Now, the names in SAS are not case sensitive or cap sensitive. If it's lowercase, uppercase, it doesn't really matter. But let's try to keep it, the same, uppercase for the C of convert. So everything is more organized. And then semicolon. So basically this is saying print the data set convert, right? Now, what variables inside the data set I want to print? Let's say I want to print both. So var, that statement var, inside the proc print will tell SAS what variables you want to print. You want to print temp F and temp C. So both, right? Then semicolon. And then at the end of the program you put run. You always put the statement run and then semicolon. So let's say I want to run this now. Let's run and see what it is. Okay, so this is the output. You see, now I have a table with the title that we intended, temperature conversion chart. And then we have temperatures in Fahrenheit degrees and the corresponding temperatures in Celsius degrees. And then SAS always gives you an observation number, right? Observation 1, 2, 3 in your data set. So that's something that appears by default. Now you can also output it and you get the table. Now if you want to save this program, you can go here, save as, and you can save it here in SAS user, and you can call it program 7.1, let's say, .sas. You save it and you have it there for the future. Okay. Now, for example, let's see what would happen if I delete temp C. What do you think would happen? Well, it would only print temp F. So let's try that and see. Okay, so now it only prints temp F. This is a very simple program, but it gives you the basics of how SAS programs look like. You always have a data step where you upload the data and transform it. Here we uploaded this data set, or we used it to create this data set convert, and then we created a new variable temp F based on the numbers that we uploaded, and then we have a proc step, which is a step in the program that will do some tasks on the data set. In this case, it's the simplest one that you can have. You can have, you can print the data set, but you could also do some of the things like maybe find the average temperature or create some sort of chart, a histogram. We'll see those later. But the simplest one is the proc print, that basically allows you to print your data set or certain variables inside your data set. Not all of them have to be printed. So let's run it again. And that was our first SAS program.